Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time tuning in, my name is Adrielle, and I am currently narrating a story of my life dating back from January 2016. In the previous episode, I ended the episode with two dreams that I had about me dating two basketball players. And in this episode, I am going to interpret those two dreams. So here it goes. Okay, y'all. So in the first dream, I was dating a retired NBA player. Okay, so let me start with that. I was symbolic for Brandon in the dream, and the retired NBA player was symbolic for Caitlin. So in the dream, we are holding hands, and this was someone who I typically wouldn't go for because this person was an older man. An older man was never my preference. In the dream, it was not my preference. Now, the meaning behind that was, y'all, in real life, Caitlin was not Brandon's preference. Okay, and that's something I knew all the way back in 2019. Like I said, y'all, Brandon's preference was black girls. Caitlin is a white girl. So Caitlin was not Brandon's preference. But in the dream, y'all, like I said, for some odd reason, I decided to date this man. I was enamored by him for some reason. Now, in real life, y'all, Brandon decided to get with Caitlin for some reason whatsoever. He decided to get with Caitlin. Later on, I find out reasons why he was with her. So I'm with this guy in the dream. We're walking, holding hands. I'm so enamored by him. I know I shouldn't be with him, but I'm like, whatever. As I'm walking with him, there's a bunch of people passing us by, and they're just giving me this mean look, basically letting me know, like, why are you with this man? You know you're not supposed to be with this man. Now, in the dream, I see them. I know the reason why they're looking at me that way, and I know I shouldn't be with him, but I didn't care. Y'all, in real life, Brandon knew he shouldn't be with Caitlin. Now, in the dream, the people who were giving me the side eye, they were symbolic for red flags / warnings. Meaning, y'all, throughout the time Brandon was with Caitlin, Brandon was getting a bunch of red flags, and those red flags were letting him know you shouldn't be with Caitlin, you shouldn't be in Oklahoma. And Brandon was very aware of those red flags, but he did not care. He overlooked them. So that was that interpretation. So in the dream, I'm still walking with this man. It gets to a point where he stops me and he says, I need to get on a train to get to my next destination, right? So the meaning behind that was, y'all, Caitlin was going to leave Brandon. And she was going to leave him to go to her next destination in life. Now, that part of the interpretation kind of, I won't say bothered me, but kind of confused me because, like I said, y'all, Caitlin is someone who couldn't be by herself. I don't think she could leave a man. So the thought of her leaving Brandon, I just couldn't understand why, especially for the fact that she fought so hard to get him back into her life. I couldn't see Caitlin leaving Brandon. But later on, I understood why she would do that. So in the dream, I was shocked. I'm like, oh my goodness, this man is leaving me. When Caitlin leaves Brandon, Brandon is going to be shocked. He is going to be shocked. So in the dream, the man leaves to go to the train station, and I'm standing there by myself. Y'all, when Caitlin leaves Brandon, Brandon's going to be by himself. In the dream, I didn't know where to go. Y'all, after the judgment and everything, y'all, Brandon is not going to know where to go. He's going to be so confused about his life and what to do. In the dream, I said that I looked up and I saw a Chick-fil-A, right? And I went into the Chick-fil-A. Me going into the Chick-fil-A was symbolic for Brandon coming back to Atlanta. So I don't know if many of y'all know, but the headquarters for Chick-fil-A is in Atlanta. So after the whole judgment, after everything, Brandon was going to come back to Atlanta. Now, I get into the Chick-fil-A, And there's a long line. People are trying to order stuff. Things are kind of slow. And then it got to a point where I tried to order stuff too, and I was waiting forever. Y'all, when Brandon gets back to Atlanta, things are going to move very slow for him. Very, very slow. I also talked about in the dream how I sat at a table and I saw someone from my past. That part was me being aware that somebody from Brandon's past was also going to try to creep in too as well. I also mentioned how there was a guy there at the table, and in real life, I was watching his YouTube videos. I had just started watching his YouTube videos, so he was a new face. So in the dream, I spoke to him. I told him that I loved his videos. Actually, I had just started watching his videos on YouTube. Told him how inspirational his videos were. That meant that when Brandon was to come back to Atlanta, he was going to meet a new face that was going to inspire him to do God's will. And yeah, so in the dream, y'all, after I interacted with the person from my past and the guy on YouTube, I remember just being at Chick-fil-A, just like, oh my goodness, what am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. So yeah, y'all, when Brandon gets back to Atlanta, he is going to be so confused. Basically, he's going to start back from square one. So all the stuff he built back in 2018 with fitness, all the stuff he was building with Caitlin in Oklahoma, all of that was going to come down. He was going to lose it all. So that was what that dream meant. Okay. So the next day I had another basketball player dream, and I'm going to get into the interpretation of that dream. So in the dream, I was dating a basketball player who was an active player. Not only was he an active player, he was an all-star player, and he played for my favorite team. My favorite team happens to be a championship-winning team. So in the dream, I was symbolic for Brandon, and the active NBA player was symbolic for me. So the difference between the active player and the retired player was that the retired player never played in a championship-winning team. He wasn't an all-star player as well, and he never had a ring, right? The active player in the second dream, he was an all-star player. He played in a championship-winning team, and then the team ended up winning they ended up winning a championship after 2022. I'll say that. So that was that part. Okay, so in the dream, we were working because we had this gathering in my apartment. So we were trying to facilitate this gathering, making sure food was together, everything was organized. That was God's way of letting me know that when you and Brandon get together, you guys are going to be working together to basically serve people. Because in the dream, we were serving our guests. We were making sure our guests were straight. So God was letting me know, like, hey, when you and Brandon get together, you guys are going to work well together and you are going to serve people. Also in the dream, we were playing Twisters. We had fun. God was letting me know that when people get around you, they're going to have fun. Like, your marriage is going to bring joy to people. At the end of the gathering, they told us how much they were so happy that we invited them to the gathering, how they love being around us. So basically, that was God's way of letting me know that you and Brandon together are a great team. You guys are going to serve people. Your marriage is going to bring joy to other people's lives. You guys are going to win together, okay? Your marriage, you guys are going to win. You're going to do so much for the kingdom of God. You're going to do so much in people's lives. Like, you're going to make a godly impact in people's lives, okay? So that was basically the interpretation of the dream. I remember when I got the interpretation, I didn't get it right away. It took me a couple of days and stuff like that because I was trying to figure out the similarities between the two players. I'm like, the only similarities that they have is that they were both players. One was old and one was new. And I was like, okay, now I understand it. Caitlin's the old one, I'm the new one. So yeah, that was it. And I was just thinking to myself, like, Brandon needs to get with the winning team, okay? That's what he needs to do. Okay, so that was the interpretation of the dream. Like I said, the only thing that kind of confused me was the fact that Caitlyn was going to leave Brandon. I was like, I do not see that even being possible because she begged and cried for him to come back. I don't see how she would leave him. But later on, I understood why. And what else again did I want to cover about the dreams? Oh, yes, too. Also, I said that when Brandon was with Caitlyn, there was a bunch of red flags constantly waving themselves while Brandon was with Caitlyn and he overlooked them. Y'all, I found out one of the red flags in the month of July. And I'll talk about that probably next episode, if not the next episode, then the episode after that. But definitely in the month of July, I found out one of the red flags and I was like, ooh, this is not a good look. Anyways, y'all, if you are liking An Unlikely Story, please like, comment, subscribe. Also, please share my videos as well. And until next time, bye.